Done practicing what we covered in the previous lesson? Great. Let's dive into the sixth video lesson. Now, today, I'm going to take a deep dive into working with objects. And I left you an assignment, and I believe that you took action, you went for it, you got it done. And I want to pick from there. Now, if you did or created or inserted that table, should have looked something like close to what we have here, only that it has six columns and five rows. Now, my current table here has how many columns? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. It has 6 columns. How about the rows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. So I'm going to modify, or we're going to modify this table so that it looks exactly like the one that you have. This table is good, but it has 5 rows, and we want one that has 6 rows. And as we modify this table, I'm going to show you something, and that is, how do you insert a new row in a table that you've already created? And how do you insert a new column in a table that you have already created? I want to show you how to do that, plus how to even delete a row and delete a column. So far we've learned how to create a table and how to delete it, but whatever I want to delete to one specific row, I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's kick off with modifying this table. I want to show you how to add a new row in a table. We have a table that has 5 rows, and what do we want? 6 rows. So how do I add another row in this table so that my table looks like yours? It's simple. The first thing that you want to do is you want to highlight one of the rows. How do you highlight a row in a table? It's pretty simple. Just position your cursor slightly outside the table, adjusting to the specific row, any specific row. So let me just click there. You click there and you select the entire row. Once you do that, you go to layout menu and then you go to insert. Now when it comes to rows, you can either insert a row above this current selected row, or you can insert a row below, right, this current selected row. Either way to do, since we don't have any data in this table yet. So I'm going to click below, and now I have a new row. So now, how many rows do I have? 6. How many columns? 6. Now I have a table that looks exactly like the one that you have. Now let's just type something in this table. Assume that you are creating something like it's the best thing here to let's assume that you're creating student performance. It's the most basic data that I can think of that you can enter into a table, basically to get a feel and understanding how we use the tables. So let's say you're creating student performance, students have done exam, and you feed in their marks in this table. How do you do it? First of all, you're gonna go to the top here and you're going to enter the subject. So let's say the first subject is mathematics, just call it maths, and the other subject is biology, let's just call it bio. All right, and the other one is chemistry, let's just call it chem, and the other one is geography, let's just call it geo, and the other one is physics, so let's just call it PHY, that is physics. So these are the subjects. Now let's assume this one more subject that you've forgotten, or rather there are 2 more subjects that need to be entered in this table, which means there are not enough columns to enter those 2 more subjects that are remaining. So we're gonna need to add 2 more columns on this table. So how do you add columns? I'm gonna show you how to do that. Now assume that those 2 subjects, one is in between biology and chemistry, and the other subject is in between geography and physics. So how do you make that one happen? It's simple. If I want to add a new column between bio and chemistry, all I need to do is select any of these columns. How do you select it? Select a column, just come slightly above the column like that, and your mouse pointer will change to a thick arrow pointing downward, meaning it's ready to select. So just click, and now I have selected a column. Now I want to add a column between chemistry and biology. So what is going to happen is this. If I go to insert, the system is going to ask me, where do I want to insert the new column? Is it to the left of the current selected column or to the right? Where do you think, if I want the column in between biology and chemistry, where do you think I should add the column? To the left or to the right? Like you can guess. I'm gonna need you to add that column on the left. Why? It's going to be added on the left of the current selected column, which is chemistry, and on the left is right here. If you say on the right, it's going to add a column between geography and chemistry. Let's do it. You go to layout menu, and then you come to insert. So I'm asked, do you want to insert it on the right or do you want to insert it on the left? Of course, I've selected chemistry, and I want the column to come in between biology and chemistry. So definitely I'm going to have to add this column on the left. So click insert left. There you go. I got my new column between biology and chemistry, and we forgot to enter English, so I'm gonna type English. This one more that's remaining between geography and physics, and that is Kiswahili. All right, so I'm gonna enter Kiswahili here, or history. It can be anything. So let's say, for instance, it's history. So how do you enter history between geography and physics? Again, I can come right above physics and select that column, or the other alternative, you just come right above geography and select that column. You move your mouse pointer right above that column, it turns to a thick arrow pointing downward, ready to select. Just click and it will select. Now, when I go to adding, I'm going to have to add that column on the right so that I get the new column between geography and physics. Very simple. So you go to layout and you come here and you go to insert right, and there you are. And now I have inserted two columns, and now I can add the missing lesson here, or rather the missing subject here. Let's say the missing subject is history, so I'm gonna type history. There you go. So now I have all my subjects in place. What's remaining? The names of the students who took this subject, right? So let's type the name of the students. Now you don't type anything on the first, by the way, we call this one cell. The boxes whereby we are typing and entering the data, they are cells. First cell, you don't type anything there. So start entering the name of the students from here. The first student is called John, and the second student, it's called Jane, and the third student is called Joy, and the fifth student is called J. Rush, and the other student is called Jonah. Good. There we are. Now, what if I want to enter their full names? You can still enter their full names. But what if this space is not enough? If the space is not enough, there are a number of things that you can do. And one of it is you squeeze these columns, make them up slightly narrower to create much more space. How do you do that? Now, let's say I want to make this column narrow. How do I do that? Very simple. You come to this, you see this dividing line here. You position your mouse pointer there exactly at the line, and it will look like that. Double arrow on each side, an arrow pointing on the left, another one on the right. That means if you click and hold down, you can move and adjust the size of that column. So I click the left mouse button, I hold down, and I try to squeeze it. I think that is okay. Remember, for these columns, you're just entering marks, or scores or marks. So we don't need really a very wide columns. So let's adjust this one. Great. Let's come here. Great. You come at this dividing line between the columns. The mouse pointer changes to a 2-pointer arrow pointing on the opposite direction. You click, hold down the left mouse button, and you drag. There you are. Let's drag it a little bit. Great. We seem to have dragged. Let's try to balance this one so that geography doesn't seem very, very narrow. All right. We come to English. We do the same. Good to go. We come to biology. We do the same. Good to go. We come to mathematics. We do the same. Good to go. And now this one can be Peter John, or John Peter. All right. Make sure these are two names. This one can be Jane Moses. Right. And you can space the names so that they are very clear. And this one is Joy Lucas. And then you can space the name. Okay. And then this one, Jairus Joseph. I'm using the space bar to create a space between the names so that they're very clear. All right, and then you have Jonah Julius. So there we are. We got our table, got the names of our students, and then we are good to go. Now let's enter the marks for these students. Do it very fast. Sorry. We want to enter their marks. We are looking at their performance, how they are performed in different subjects. And that is the performance. We're going to be using these marks, and I'm going to show you how to do a number of things with them that will help you master how to work with Word. All right. So doing is finishing up on entering these marks so we can start working with them. So let's see what we have. Let's see what we will get out of this. We have 2 more subjects remaining. All right, almost there. So let's enter for physics. That is for physics, and then we are done. All right, now you have your data here. Remember, this data can be anything, right? It doesn't have to be student marks. It can be anything. It can be a table with food budget, and you want to enter the item and the cost of the item. Maybe you enter the item here where the item can be found and the cost of the item. And the table can contain anything. The key is to learn how to have the table and enter data in the table and work on the table. So now here we are, we have this table. Now what we're going to do now is we want to learn to do simple calculation. Remember, Microsoft Word is not meant for calculation, but it can perform very simple calculations. And that is what you're going to do, perform a very simple calculations. Now to do that, we're going to add a new row here. All right, and then we're going to add a new column, and in the row down here we are going to perform average performance for the students, and on the other column on your right you're going to perform, or we are going to perform the total marks for each student. Now I'm gonna need to correct something here, and that is, let's just try to squeeze this our table on this side. And the reason we are doing this is because we want to have enough space on the other side to be able to put what we want. And since we have enough data here, we can decide for the physics, instead of having physics, just decide that is where we are going to do our total. Just remove the physics and type total. All right, let's remove these marks. That is where we are going to calculate the total performance of these students. All right, then down here let's add a new row, and that row we're going to perform the average. So how do you add a row? We did it. You just go just right next to the row, you click there, and you want the row right below here. So you select the row at the bottom, and then you go to layout, and then you come to insert below. Click there, we want the row below, and then you type here average. All right, great. Now how do we perform calculations? All right, very simple calculations, not something complicated, pretty simple. All you need to do is go to where you want to place your calculation or your answers. In this case, let's calculate for John. You click right there below total, and then make sure you are on formula. Sorry, make sure you are on layout menu, and then you come here to formula. You click formula, you get this formula dialog box opening up, and then there is a formula here saying equal sum left. Now this is what happens. See, Word was never meant for calculation, but it can perform simple calculation. What happens is this: when you position your cursor here where it is, and you go to formula, Word is going to look at your table and see where there are numerical values. Based on where there are numerical values, it will predict or guess what you probably want to do. Since the cursor is here, the only numerical values are the ones on the right side, or right of the cursor. And so MS Word guess is that you might want to add up all the values on the left. And the way to add up is use a function that we call sum, which basically means adding up. And so it's going to tell you sum left, assuming you want to add what is on the left side of the cursor. Of course, our Word is smart. It has a perfect guess. That's exactly what we want to do. So we click OK. And there you are. You have the total marks for that student. Let's do another one. You click there. Of course, where you want your answer, you make sure you are on the layout menu, and then you go to formula. And wow, something happens. Notice it's saying sum above. Why sum above? Because your cursor is here. You've got some numerical values on the left, and then above the cursor there's also another numerical value. And now Word is not able to figure out which one you want to add up. So Word is a little bit confused. So you're gonna have to make some clarification to Word exactly what you want to do. Now, your target, your goal is to add what is on the left side here. So what you need to do is you just need to come to where we have above. Don't tamper with the bracket. Notice there are brackets here. Just remove the above. You click there, and then you remove the above, and then you just type left. Okay, make sure you retain the bracket. If by any case you delete the bracket, you can always put the brackets back using your keyboard. You know where the brackets are. If you don't know where they are, let me show you. I pull out my keyboard. Your brackets are here. But remember, for you to put this bracket, you have to activate shift, and then you come and click here and you get the bracket. If you don't click shift, you click here, you get 0, and you click here, you get 9. You don't get to get the bracket. So you have to activate shift, and then you click this bracket if you want this one or this one. All right, close this one. Now that you've typed left, just click OK, and there goes the word. Now let's continue. Let's do this one. You click there, you go to formula. You know the trick now. So just type left, right, and then you click OK. You're done with that. Come here, formula. You play the whole trick. You just type left. You click OK. You're done. You go to the other one, which is the last one. You go to formula. The old trick never changes. Just type left. Great. Click OK. Awesome. You're done. Now, that is how you add. Now, let's go to average. Average is what most people call mean, and it's actually mean, but really we call it average. And so how do you calculate the average? This is the total performance for each student. Now, we want to know the average performance per subject. They call mean score. So how do you do it? You click where you want to place your calculated answer. All right, and then you go to, you make sure you are on layout, and then you go to formula. Really, what you need to do here is now you need to pay close attention. What we have there in the formula is sum above, but really we don't want sum above. We are not going for sum. What we need is average. So you're going to have to pick average. So what do? You click here and you're going to see average function here. So how do you get it from there and you place it here? Simple. Highlight sum. You click there and then you highlight sum, and then you come and click here. All right, the sum is no longer highlighted, so just remove the whole of this, but retain the equal sign. Please take a note. Don't delete the equal sign. Retain the equal sign there. Then you come here and then you just pick average. All right, once you have the average there, you have the average and some brackets, and then inside those brackets you type above. Why are we typing above and not left? Remember, our cursor is here, and we want to calculate the average of the values above the cursor, not on the left side. So you type above, then you click OK, and there you go, 73.8. Let's do it for biology. Position your cursor where you want the answer to be. Go to biology, remove all this, pick average, and then you can type above. All right, you click OK. You're good to go. That's 74. Go to English, go to formula, remove all that. All right, and then you come to function and you pick average and you click OK. All right, something didn't really quite work. We probably made mistake somewhere, so I'm gonna delete that syntax. Let's go there again. Let's see where we screwed up. All right, so we'll remove this and then we pick average, and then you type above. Great, we click OK. There we're good to go. Come here, go to formula, you remove this, you retain the equal sign, don't delete it, then you click average, and then you type above. Great, click OK. You go to geography, you click the formula. Let's delete this. You click here and pick the function, All right, and then you just type above, and then you click OK. Great. You go here, the final one, you go to formula, you the final one. Nope. I think that is this second to the final one. So pick average, then type above. Great. Okay, there you go. So you have one more remaining. Actually, this is a total, so you need to calculate average for the total. So basically, that is how you calculate average, or what people call mean score. See, I told you it's not difficult. It's very, very simple if you are able to follow the steps quite closely. Now that we have our table, we have done symbol calculations here. We might want to do something, and that is, we might want to improve how our table looks like, plus probably give our table a title, like what is in this table. We might need to do that. Now, to give our table a title, we don't want to type the title here. What we need to do, or we want to do, is we want to add an extra row above here, and then type the title of this table inside that row. Now, how do you do that? We already learned how to add rows. So you come right here, and then you click right there to select the entire row, and then you go to layout. In this case, we want to have a row above the headings of these subjects. So I'm going to click above, and I have a row there. Now we want to type the title here, and you can call that title student records or student performance records. The problem is there are cells here. Okay, so if I'm going to type a title, it will be defined, or it will be constrained between this cell. So how do I make sure that this top row here does not have these subdivisions? It's something that I want to show you. To make sure that you remove any subdivisions within a table, for whatever reason, in our case, we want to remove it because we want to have a title. In the title, we don't want to be constrained in one single cell. In case you want to do that, you use the technique that you call merging. And merging basically means combining things. So you can combine all these cells together to form one big cell, right? So how do you merge? To merge cells, first thing that you do is select the cells that you want to merge. Okay, and I want to merge all these cells on the top row. So you can just select the entire row like that. Then you go to layout, and then you come to merge cell. You click merge cell, and all the selected cells are combined, and now we have one big cell, and we can type our heading there. So you just click inside, and we can call this one student performance. Remember, this can be anything. It can be food budget. It can be anything depending on what you put in that table. All right, student performance records. Great. Now remember how we learned about alignment. We want this title to be aligned at the center of the table. So what you do, you highlight the table, or rather the title. So I click and drag, select the title, just to highlight it the way you highlighted a text. Click at the beginning, or at the last end of the text, or in the beginning, and you can do. So let's click at the end and highlight backward, and you go to layout. But here you're not going to see alignment, but you're going to see this. This is where we get our alignments when you're working the tables, right? So you have all these are different alignments. This is top left, this is top center, this is top right, this is center right, this is center, and this is center left, all that. So we want this one, all right? We want to be aligned at the center, so we click there, and there it is. Then we want to make it bold. How do you make it bold? You go back to home. We learned how to do that. Go back to home, make it bold. There you are, and you can even give it a different color. So font, what you call font color, we go there, and then we pick the color that we want, and let's pick that color. Great. We can make these ones bold also, since they are headings. So you highlight the entire row, then you can just go to home and pick bold. There you are. We want to make these ones bold also, so I can click the cell and click bold. I can click inside the cell and then click bold. You bring your mouse pointer at the beginning of the cell and it changes to a thick arrow like this. You click, you select that cell. We make it bold. Click right here. Also, we make it bold. We'll click right here. We make it bold. Now, for the orange, we're going to make it bold, but we're gonna have to change its font color since it's slightly different. This is the orange. It's not part of the names of the students, so let's make it green. All right. In the same case with the total, select the total. Let's make green. Awesome. There you are. Now you have your table improved. Looks a little bit better. Now you can do some more improvement, and I want to show you how to apply what you call shades, and then how to change the borders of your table. What are shades? They're basically shades of color. For instance, let's pick the performance here, or let's pick this column here that has the total, and I'll come slightly above there and click. All right, now when you click there, you get the entire table selected because this is one big column. So I'm going to click there and I'm going to highlight downward just to highlight that section, and then I'm going to go to design. All right, we want to design this table, so we go to design, and then you're going to see this shading. If I click here on this button here, I can pick a different shade for that column. All right, I pick the shade that I want for that column, and then I can apply that shade. So we make it yellow. There we are. We can do the same for this row. So come close to where the row starts. I click, it's highlighted, and I can pick a different shade, and I give it the shade that I want. All right, something, and there you are. So that's the shade. And you notice this total may not be visible, so I'm going to highlight it, and I want to make it more visible. So I have to go home. When you want to change the text color, you come here, and let's give it something that makes it visible. Yeah, probably total dash better. Good. And you can also change the shade of this if you want. You click to highlight the first cell, hold down the leftmost button, and you drag down. You'll be able to select that section, and then you can go to design, and then you come to shading here, and then you can give it any color of your choice. You can go with that. Great. So now we've improved our table. Looks much more better than the one that we had before. All right, so what do we need to do right now? That is how you apply shade. You can apply shade to any section of your work. I can even decide I want this cell to have a different shade. All I need is select the cell and go to design, come here at shading, and pick the color that I want for that shade. Right, you can change any shade of any color, any row if you want. There you go. So that is how it looks like. Great. Now I want to show you something that we call borders. And when it comes to borders, there are specific two types of borders. This is the outside border, and it's the border that encloses the entire table. And there are inside borders, and there are these borders subdividing the different cells. Okay, the one that's running across, those that are running downward. So first of all, let's learn how to change the outside border. Now to change a table border, you move your mouse pointer over the table. You're going to see this plus sign here. You click it, select the entire table. After that, go to design. All right, then you see borders here. Click here, don't click the border, just click here, and you get to see different borders. All right, now you want to be very specific which border in your table you want to change. Now we are interested in inside borders, and all of them seem to be activated. Let's see whether there's another way. Let me click away, and let me click inside the table without really highlighting or selecting the entire table. And let me go to borders, and I can see inside borders here. All right, let's see. Let's see that we can change the color of the inside border. Let's go to, come here to pen color. Let's pick this color and see what happens. Okay, nothing that happens. Now let's see, select the table, go to borders, let's deactivate all these activated borders because they all seem active. Notice the golden highlighting means they are all active. We want to deactivate all of them. By just clicking it, it gets deactivated, and something happens here on our table that we didn't want to happen. So I'm using undo to go back. Good. We don't want to lose the borders outside the table, so I undo again. Great. Good, we have all the borders back. So now what we want to do is we want to deactivate this. Let's see, the borders want to deactivate. Okay, great. If we deactivate bottom border, what you notice is this border will disappear, the one down here. If we deactivate, let's do it. If I click bottom border, let me see. All right, just a minute. Top, let's see. All right, let me undo and let me now explain. If we select the if we select the entire table and you come to borders here and you click all borders and deactivate them, the table will lose its borders completely. Now you have a table without a border. Okay, select the table, make sure you are on design, come to layout, and you activate. You can now activate the borders that you want. Now let's assume we want to see only the outside border only. So you come and click outside borders. And now notice the only border that you see is the one on the outside. The one inside here, the one that's creating the cells or the columns and the rows, they are not there. Okay, we only have the outside border. Now if I select the table and I only have the outside border and I go to design, I can decide the color of the outside border, including how thick I want them to be. So how do you do that? You come here and you can pick the thickness. Let's say the thickness is that thick, and let's pick the thickness here. Let's see this one, what we get from here. All right, so what you do is you get a pencil, and this pencil, when you click the borders, it will give the borders this kind of thickness. Let's pick the color. Pick the thickness, let's pick the color. Let's say we want the color to be red. So now the border is going to be this thick with red color. Let's see. I click there and there it is. I click here. Sorry, let me undo that. I wanted the border. Okay, let me click undo. Let me click this border here. Right, something is not giving us what we are looking for. Undo. We can just go to borders and pick outside border, and since we have set the thickness and the color, we expect the outside border to change, the whole of it. Let's see. There you go. So the outside border now changes, right? Let's change it again to something different. You select the whole table, then go to design, come and change it to whatever it is that you want. Let's say we want to be like this, and you want the color to be, let's say, blue. All right, this is the border that you want. And now we go to borders and we click outside borders, and there you go, the border changes. So you can change the borders the way you want. Now you will notice you don't have inside borders. We removed them. How did we remove the borders? Removing the borders is simple. We select the table by clicking the plus sign, and you go to layout, and you come to borders and click outside borders. They'll be gone. You're going to have a table without a border, right? If you want the table to have all the borders back, you select the table, and then you go to design, you click borders, then you click all borders. You click it, you're going to have all the borders back. But remember, we have changed the borders, so when they are back, they have adopted the border that we've had already set. Okay, now let's change these borders so that they don't look the way they are. First of all, we are going to remove them. You click the plus sign there, you go to design, let's remove all the borders. So we click all borders, and they are gone. No borders now. So let's now apply new borders the way we want. Come back to the table, click the plus and you have it highlighted. Come inside the border that you want. Let's say we want let's say for the outside border we want one that looks like this. Nope, let's pick something, one that looks like this, for instance. But want it to be, let's pick a different color. We want it, this is very thick, let's reduce the thickness to that, and then let's pick the color, let's give it this color. All right, then once you set, sorry, let me move this one upward. Once you picked the border type and the thickness and the color, you come to borders now, and then only activate outside border so that that specific border is applied on the outer border or outside border only. So you click outside border, and there you are. Okay, now let's put some borders inside the table of our own color and design. Select the table, go to layout, go to design, come here, let's pick one with the dotted lines, like these dashes here, right? Or we can even pick a dotted line. I click there, let's see whether we can have dotted line here. They are small dashes here. And then let's pick thickness. Let's make sure they are slightly thicker. So you click here and you pick a little bit, yeah, thickness there. And then we want them to be red in color. So I click pen color, and I want the pen color to be red. All right. Then you come to borders. Our interest is inside borders only. So what you do, you go to inside borders. You click there. There you are. So the inside borders are red and dashed. The outside borders are purple and thick. That is how you can control your borders. You can set your borders to be anything that you want. inside border and the outside border. Now you can also change the border for a given cell. Let's say that where we have the average here, we want the border of the cell with the data average to look slightly different from the rest. Let's change its borders. It's very easy to do that. All you need to do is select the table, go to design. First of all, click inside the cell whose border you want to change and come to the borders here. Pick how you want the border to look like. So let's say I want it with, let's pick something here that is, yeah, let's say we want to have this kind of border. Let's decide how thick we want it to be. We want it to be that thick. Let's design the paint color. We want the paint color to be what? Green. All right, now you're going to have this pen, and this pen allows you to select the 4 borders around this cell and change them. So how do you change them? You just click there, you click down there, click on this side, click on that side, and now notice for that cell only, the borders have changed. So you can change the border for any column, the entire table, inside borders, and a border around a cell. Let's do one more. Let's make the total cell here have slightly different border from the rest. First of all, what you need to do is to make sure the cursor is inside that cell. Okay, then you come here, pick the border that you want. We want to have double lines, and for the color, let's say we want the color to be, all right, let's assume we want more colors other than the ones that are here. You can click more colors here, and here you are. This is where you get your colors. You can go to standard. Let's pick a color like this. That's what you want for the border. Okay, and then you click OK. So now you have this color, and that's the border. Let's make it a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna pick something like that. All right, then I'll come here. Now you notice your mouse pointer turns into a pencil, and then you come and you click that border there. So it's changing. Click that border there, click that border there, and you click this border here and this border here, right? This one, for some reason, it's not changing, but you notice we have changed the borders here, and I can continue to change in these borders of this column. Please continue. I go clicking. By clicking the border change, I go clicking, keep on clicking, and change the ones on the sideways. I click this one, 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 and I click the one at the bottom there. There you go. Now you have this column. It has totally different borders as compared to the rest of this, right? So you can change the borders of your table into anything that you want, right? Let's do one more. Let's change the borders of this column here, the one that has names, to look slightly different. Now, how do you do it? First of all, you come here and pick the border that you want. Let's say we want to give it which border? Let's see, this 3-line border here, and thickness, it should be a little bit thicker, like that one. Sorry, go back to design, and then let's pick a color. Click color there. If you don't like these colors, we go for more colors, and let's pick a color like this one. Right, that's the color that we want. Then you click OK. Now you go to your pencil, you just click there, and the borders are going to change. Okay, just go click in the borders that you want to change, and you will be able to change those borders into anything that you want. This is how you create tables. Enter data into the table, and this is how you can turn or change your table to look exactly like what you want. There you are. Then you double click and your pencil disappears. So I want you to practice that, working with borders. Get good at it. Now, before we wind up this lesson, we're going to do two more things, and then we're going to wind up with this lesson. In the meantime, you can pause this video lesson at this point and practice designing a table, entering data, changing the borders, doing some calculations before we dive into the next few aspects of working on your table and on this document, and then we will wrap up this lesson. So pause this lesson, get into action, and if you've not been coming along with me in practicing, I want you to take some time and practice what you've done, and I'll meet you afterwards as we dive into the next thing that we're going to cover in this video lesson. Welcome back. Now, I want to believe you've taken time to practice, and if you still need more time, no problem, just pause the video lesson, continue. I'll be waiting for you. Once you're done, you click play, we resume, we continue. But in the meantime, let's move on. My assumption is you've already done that practice. Now, speaking of borders, while we can create borders around a table, we can also create borders around our entire page. Let's say you want these pages to have specific borders around them. How do you create page border? How do you create page border? Let's see how we can do that. Then after that, you'll come back to the table to finish up something on this table. So to create a page border, you go to page layout, and let's see where we can get this. All right. Sorry, let's go to design. See where we want to get this. We want to get borders. See, just a minute. We have insert. All right, before we do that, let's just finish up on this table, and then the next lesson we can do page border. Right, now that we have our table, you can also create a chart that will represent the data in your table, and this is the second object. So how do you come up with a chart? I want to show you how you create a chart, but before I show you how to create a chart, you can delete any border that you want from this table using eraser or a rubber. How do you do that? Go to this design, and then you can see an eraser here. If I click this eraser, I will have picked a eraser or rubber that you can use to erase any border here on this table. So let's try. Let's say I want to erase this border. I just need to click the border and it's gone. Okay, let's say I want to erase this border. I just need to click the border and it's gone. Right, I want to erase which other border I want to erase. Let's pick which border. Let's say I want to erase this border, just click, the border is gone. Okay, you want to erase this border, just click, the border is gone. Right, so you have full control over your table. You can actually decide how you want your table to look like. You have a eraser to delete the borders that you don't want. You have different borders, you can customize them, you can put shirts, anything that you want. You can decide the table that you want. All right, that's how you use the eraser. Now let me undo all that and get our borders back, and double click to release the eraser. So now I want to show you one more thing which is very, very important, and then we are going to be wrapping up this video lesson, and that is, how do you work with the charts? How do you insert a chart in your work? How, if I want a chart that will represent this data in a table, how do you insert that chart? I'm going to show you how you do it. Now it's very simple. All you need to do, the first thing that you need to do is make sure that your cursor is not inside the chart, or rather the table. If you do that, the chart is going to be inserted inside the table. So make sure the cursor is outside, and then here's what you do. You go to insert. But before we do that, let's move this table a little bit upward. So how do you move your table around? You move your mouse pointer over the table, you come to this plus sign, you click and hold it down, and then you drag. You can move your table where you want. All right, so now that we've moved it, when I click here, we're going to insert a chart very fast, but not that fast. Okay, you'll be able to follow through. I'm not going to move very fast. I'm going to take you at a pace that you really understand the steps. So how do I insert a chart? I make sure that the cursor is outside the table, and then I go to insert, and then I come to chart. You click there, and you can see all these different charts that you can use. Now, depending on the data that you're working with, you're going to have to use a different chart. Now in this chart, we have to use what you call, based on our data in this table, we have to use what you call cluster chart. Why? Every student here has a cluster subject. John Peter has a number of subjects, and those subjects are what we are calling cluster, and they belong to one John Peter. And so we're going to have to use a cluster chart. So the cluster chart can be column, the cluster chart can be bar chart. These are different categories of charts, and each category has types of charts. So let's say we want to work with column chart. So I click column chart. The different types, we have 2D cluster chart, we have what we call stacked column chart, which will not work for this kind of data because our data is in clusters. This is also 100% stacked column. It will still not work for us. So we can either use this one, or use this 3D clustered, or use this 3D column. You can also use the cylinder. These are bars. You can also use these are column. You can also use the cylinder as long as it's clustered, and you can also use the cone as long as it's clustered. We can also use the line chart. All right, but avoid using stacked. If you use stacked chart, like this one, stacked line chart, you will not get what you are looking for. This one 100% stacked, you will not get what you're looking for. This one line with the markers, this one can get you what you're looking for. But the line chart is not as good in terms of the way it represents your data. And so we're going to use the column chart, specifically 3D cluster chart. So I click 3D, and then I click OK. Now Word is going to pull a chart from Excel and open another window, and here is the window. Now you have two programs here. You have Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel. This is where you can feed the data. Now you have this window and this window. This is your chart here. But what you notice with this chart is this. In this chart, you have category 1, category 2, category 3, category 4. And these are the categories you are seeing here. Category 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have all these 5, 4.5, 4. It's relying on the information that is here. All right. But we want this chart to represent this this data here. Okay, remember, what is a chart? Graphical representation of a data in a table. So we want this chart here to represent what is here. Here you can see you have series 1, series 2, series 3, which is this series 1, series 2, series 3. So to change this data or this bar chart to represent what is inside this table, you have to replace the information that is here with the actual information that is in this table. All right, so to do that, that means where we have series 1, series 2, series 3, we're going to have to type maths, biology, English, chemistry, geography, history. And where we have category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we are going to have to type the names of these students. And then where we have these numbers, we are going to change the values and enter the values of the marks. If you do that, then this chart is going to change. So let's wind up with that. Let's do that. So what we have here is John Peter, and so we can type John Peter. And what we have down here is Jane Moses. Jane Moses. And what we have down here is, let me try to, I'm going to use this an horizontal bar down here, as you can see, which will help me to move sideways to see what is inside this window. If something is not visible, I can move it sideways and move the data. So now we want to see, we type, what we have here is Joy Lucas. I'm looking at this one. This is Joy Lucas. So I have to come here and type Joy Lucas. Then after Joy Lucas, we have Jairus Joseph. So I need to come here and type Jairus Joseph. And then lastly, we have Jonah Julius. Jonah Julius. Good. Now that you have the names, what's remaining? Great. We have the subject here. It's good to have to enter the subject there. And so what we have here is maths. Okay, I'm looking at this math here. Ignore the title. The title is not part of what we want to represent it in the data. So ignore this table title. We can give our chart its own title. So we focus on the data itself. After maths, we have this one, which is biology. I'm going to come here where we have series 2, and I'm going to type bio. Then I'm going to series 3, and I'm going to type English. Then I'm going to series 4. I'm going to type chemistry. Then I'm going to series 5. I'm going to type geography. Then I'm going to series 6, and I'm going to type history. Now, notice that I'm not going to enter totals here because I don't want totals to be represented in the chart. The chart is supposed to represent only the student subjects and their performance and the student names, right? So the calculation, they are not part of what we want to see in the chart. Here's something you notice. As we change this subject here, notice they have changed here. We have now maths, biology, English, chemistry. Initially we had series 1, 2, 3. So as we change what is here, actually what is in our chart changes. Now let's continue. Now let's check for maths. John Peter has 89. So I'm going to enter 89 there. And then we have 74. I'm going to enter 74. Then we have 58. I'm going to enter 58. Then we have 91. I'm going to enter 91. Then we have 57. I am going to enter 57. And then that is it. And then we have 68. I'm going to enter 68. Notice we are not entering the average. This is a calculation. It's not part of the chart. So we're going to ignore it. We're going to leave it out. And now we have 75. And then we have 89. And then we have 56. You will notice as we change the data here, the data in the tables here change. Let me pull this table up so that you can see what is happening. Great. As we change everything here, it will be changing right here. Right, so now where are we? We were on John Peter biology. John Peter biology scored 82. And then English, John Peter scored 58. And down is scored 57. and then after 57, 80 and 85. 80 and 85. We must have really left something, so let me see, what did I leave out? So let's see. John Peter, for English, he has actually 59. 59 for English. Jane has 58. Joy has 57. Jairus has 80. And Jonah has 85. Great. Then you have chemistry. Chemistry, we have 89. After 89, we have 66. After 56, we have 77. After 77, we have 57. After 57, we have 63. And then we have geography, which is 76. And then we got 90. And then this 64. After that, we got 72. And then we have 73. All right. I think we're good. Let's go to the last subject and history. This is 63. And then Jane's she got it for, and then we have 78, and then you have 94, and then you have 80. Great. So now that is it. We have everything covered now. Now let's scroll here and notice what has happened to your chart. This is your chart. Notice the chart is showing the actual names, the name of a given student, and all the involved subjects, right? So once you have this one well filled out, all you need to do at this moment is you close this window. Do not close this window. This is your word. This just was pulled up for you to create the chart. So once you have this one, all you need to do is you close this window right from here. And there you go. So now here you are, you have your chart that's representing this table. Quick things that you can do with this chart. We can format the chart if we want and improve it a little bit. So let's do that and then wind up this lesson. Now, you got your chart. The chart should have a title. Our current chart doesn't have a title. So the question is, how do I insert a title on a chart? Pretty simple. And by the way, the same way we've designed this column chart, you can design line chart and bar chart. It's just the same procedure, right? So now, how do we give this chart a title? To customize and make some changes on your chart, all you need to do is, first of all, select the chart. You select by just clicking it, and then once you select the chart, go to layout. All right, once you go to layout, you're going to see all this. Now let me say something. If you click this table, if you select this table, you're going to see layout, but this layout is different, right? So for you to see the layout that enables you to customize your chart, you have to select the chart. Okay, so you select the chart and do not select it when you see this thick border around it. And now you go to this layout, click layout, and you're going to see chart title. See where we have chart title here? You click right there, and now you can enter your chart title. Either you can have your chart title at the top of the chart. Send that and overlay. Overlay means it's overlapping with the chart. Or you can have above chart title so that it's not overlapping with the chart. So we click above chart. And that's a place now. Here you are, you can place your chart title. Let's call this chart title student performance. You just type student performance. There you go. You have your chart, you have your title. Very simple. Now you can make some changes in terms of, you can beautify your chart if you want. A chart has different areas. We have what to call the area of a chart, we have the plot area, we have a bunch of different areas. Let me walk you through those areas as we make some changes on those areas. The outer part, or the enclosure that hosts the entire chart, including the title and all these bars, we call it chart area. And if you move your mouse pointer over the chart, at any given moment you will know where you are. That's the chart area. But notice when I move that mouse pointer somewhere here, it will tell me that's the chart title. All right, it's just indicated right there. And if I move it right here, it will tell me that is the chart legend. Right, so we have chart title, chart area, chart legend. And if I move it a little bit closer here, it will tell me that is a plot area. Now, plot area is the area that holds the actual bars that represent your data. So if I click, the plot area will be selected, and I can change the color of the plot area in order for you to be able to see clearly what it is. Let's format and change its color. So I click, it's already selected. I can go to, I can actually just come here, okay, in this shading, or I can go to format. Any can do, I can go to format, I can come to shape fill, and I can give it the color that I want. I click yellow. So what you see now, the yellow part of this chart is what you call plot area, right? Let's change the chart area background. I move my mouse pointer over the chart, tells me that the chart area. I can click. Once I click, I can come to format, shape fill, and I can pick any color that I want. If I don't like the colors that I'm seeing here, I can always go to more fill colors. Here we are. We've got number of colors, variety actually. We can choose the variety that you want. Let's pick this one. See what happens. Great. Now what you're seeing here, that is the plot, sorry, that's the chart area. I can go to the chart title and change its color, background color. I just click it, and then I can go to shape fill and change it, but I'm not going to change it. You can do that one as you practice. We can go to legend. Now we call this one legend. Now, back in high school, you used to call it key in geography. In this case, we don't call it key, it's called legend. So you select the legend, then you can change its color to any color you want. You can make it red, and there you are, or you can make it blue or purple. Anything that you want. You can make it anything that you want. So let's give it that color, or we can give it that color. But let's let's give it that color. So that is it. Now notice now your chart is very, very clear. Now we want to add what you call axis titles. That is, you might want to indicate what these are. We know these are marks on this side. And you also want to indicate what these are, and you know these are students. So you want to indicate a title there, or label these students here with a label saying these are students, the label here indicating these are scores. So let's do that. To do that, make sure the chart is selected, then go to layout. Now you go to axis titles, you click there, and you get two. Primary horizontal is the title down here, and then you have vertical axis title. It's the one that you show what these are right on your right side. So now let's go to the horizontal title, and let's pick title below axis. You click there, and here you can type your title, and you can see these are students. You just type students. Okay, so anyone looking at this chart, they know these are the students. They want to know what these are, and these are marks. So let's do that. Select the chart, and make sure you go to layout, and then access title, and then you go to primary vertical. Primary vertical, you can have the text rotated. If you click this one, you notice the text will be moving upward. Okay, if you want it rotated that way, then that would work. If you don't rotate it that way, then you might need to pick a different option. Go back to axis title, come here, and then you just pick horizontal title, and you click, and it's going to be horizontal. And then you can type, these are student marks or other scores. So you can say this is score. And there you are. Now you have your chart. This represents the subject, and this subject is history. What's the purpose of the legend? The legend will show you the colors and give you a label for what each color represents. So this color, it's here, it represents history. This color, which is this here, it represents geography. Now this purple color, it represents, with the purple color, chemistry. And this green color, it represents English. This red color represents biology, and this blue, which is more slightly intense compared to this one, represents maths. So if I want to know how much did Joy Lucas get in biology, I just need to realize biology is red. So I come to Joy Lucas and I look for red and I move upward, and even pointing at it, it will tell you that's biology, and Joy got 89. And it's already indicated there. You point at it, the cursor tells you series biology, point, it's Joy Lucas, value 89. Alright, so, and if you scroll upward, check for Joy Lucas biology, you will realize it's 89. Let's see Joy Lucas, look for biology, and here it is, it's 89. So this chart represents this data in this table. So let's pick someone else. Let's say I am looking for Jairus, and I want to know what Jairus scored in English. So what I need to know is English is green. Here's Jairus, here's green, I point at it, and I'm told Jairus scored 80 in English. That's how you do it. Pretty simple. So that is how you insert table, and you insert a chart that represents that table. That's a ton of work that we've done in this video course, and so video lesson. And so what I want you to do right now is I want you to take your time before we meet in the next session tomorrow. I want you to take your time, and I want you to practice working with tables, performing calculations, inserting a chart, basically everything that you've learned in this video lesson. Because when we meet in the next video lesson, I'm going to introduce you to another different kind of object. But for now, practice, perfect what you've done today. Try different charts. Okay, for instance, before we wind up here, you can try a different chart. Like, you go to insert, you can try a different chart. Like, in fact, I want you to try, and after you practice this one, your assignment in this lesson, I want you to do the bar chart. Just come and pick bar chart, and go for bar chart that gives you cluster. So that's a bar chart, and then you can use this clustered column, or you can use this 3D. All right, just click it, and then you click OK, and you get to. All right, we get in bar chart almost the same as the column chart. Let's see whether this one will be different. Let me close this one, and let me close this one. We want a bar chart, so let's see, insert, we go to chart, and then we go with the bar chart. Yeah, I'm the one who chose the wrong chart here. We didn't want this one. Bar charts, they normally are horizontal, so these are what you are calling bar charts. You can choose to work with either this one. It should always be cluster, because we have our data in cluster, right? meaning a given student has cluster subjects. You can use this one or you can use this one. So you just click it. You're going to get your bars. You click OK. You're going to get your bars. There they are. All you need to do is now replace what is in your table up here. In your table up here, you replace all this information by changing this data here to reflect what is here, and then you're going to have your bar chart created. Okay, so I want you to go ahead, do that assignment. Once you've done that, I'm sorry, I think, okay, good. Once you've done that, let me delete this. Sorry. All right, so once you've done that, I want you to practice with line charts just to gain the basic skills and get good at inserting a table, putting data in the table, and creating a chart that truly represents that table. And then in the next lesson, I will be introducing you into a new object that you're going to be working on. As for now, practice, and I'll see you in the next lesson as we dive into something totally different and totally new. Until then, get to work.